But Don Schneider was doing Greater Tuna, and that was a show that I had seen multiple peers from college do. I thought the character work was hilarious. I mean, there is, you basically get to play like roughly 10 to 12 characters per actor. So, it was something that I thought, oh, this will be fun. I'll have a lot of stuff to do, however it transpires. And as it turned out, those were also intensive, like jam style auditions. And it was me, Jim Evans, I can't remember who the third person was, and Adam. So, Adam had got the role for Oleana in this first audition that I did in Iowa City. And I remember there were two nights of auditions. And the night that Don cast it, it was like this rainy night. We were in one of the theaters at Hampshire. We were like the only people in the building. The building was completely dark except for this studio theater. And we were just doing like scene after scene after scene after scene. I was like, holy cow, this is taxing. It's like, and it's one of those things where you get to a point, you think, oh, if I don't get this, I put a lot of effort into this and I didn't get it, but like he's really good. So it's like, and then in the back of my mind, of course, it's like, and he beat me out the last time. So it's like, I'm just giving it my all, giving it my all. And Don called me on the Saturday and he went with me and Jim. And it was a blast. It was a great time. We had a lot of fun with that show. And I think it was, I'd say it was probably 2 months into rehearsals when I met Matt and Sharon and Paul. I don't think I met Allie till later. I only ever met her and knew her peripherally because she had already relocated. I think at that point in time, I'd only been in the Unitarian building once, and I'd seen the wheelchair lift, like the chained off wheelchair lift off to stage left on the right side if you're facing the stage. I had already read this version of Liz Estrada that was translated by X.J. Kennedy, who was kind of in academic circles, he was sort of a notable poet. And it was this really, really irreverent, modern, in some places almost slapsticky kind of take on it. And I sort of got fixed on that early on. And I said, you know what? I would like to do this show here, and I want to use the wheelchair lift as the Deus Ex Machina. Sure enough, we did, and the Deus Ex Machina brought in Matt Brubaker in alarming drag as the spirit of peace, and he was really taken with McSweeney's at the time, so he credited himself in the program as Nervous McStabby. And there was so much craziness involved with that show because I don't know if you were going to talk to her, had heard the name Sarah Hoff before. She was Lampito and Liz Estrada, and the whole deal with Lampito was the athletic woman. So we had her in like a tracksuit, headband, like a jogging top with the sleeves rolled up and everything. And Sarah got really sick. I can't remember what happened, but she basically I think she was in the first week of performances, and then during the course of the second week, she got really sick. I mean, she ended up in the hospital. So we're like, shit, we don't really have understudies. We already have, there was I want to say there was between 15 and 20 people in the cast. And, it was kind of one of those things where I'm like, well, I know the script kind of inside and out, so we'll just roll with this. So I like literally put on a version of, not the same thing obviously, but like an approximation of what she was wearing. And I had a real beard at the time. So so these people come in the second weekend, and it was the weekend that XJ Kennedy, the translator, actually came from Cambridge, Mass, to see the show for 2 cents night and everything. So he's sitting there, and very early on in the play, this 25-year-old man comes out to perform the role of Lampedo, the athletic woman. He's probably thinking, what the hell is going on here? They should have never gave him the rights to this. But yeah, it was so you went from that, and then at the end of the show, I'm on stage as the character, or no, I guess I was one of the Scythian cops, I guess. And Matt comes in the back, with this scanty bit of thing on him and prances through through the audience to the Deus Ex Machina, turns the key, and I mean, it was like you see the joke in shows where something that you expect to like work really quickly goes really slowly and really loud. It was like that. I mean, just standing there, like holding this demure pose. Somebody told me to read the script to Jerusalem, which Pauline Tyre directed. It was an original script, and it was like a modern retelling of the betrayal of Jesus. So Jesus talking to Judas, and Judas is sort of like like a lawyer slash hype man, and he and Jesus are having their initial meeting in a conference room. And I read it, and I'm like, this is really good. This is really, really good. It was 2 scenes. The second scene then was after Jesus was jailed and being prepared to go to his fate, and Judas comes back in, with remorse, and but he still can't bring himself to believe in it. And it was another one of those cases where there was a rare, there was a small audition turnout, and it ended up being me, Jay Stein, rest him, and that's where Chuck DeFano came into Dreamwell. He played the blind leper, and then the security guard in the second half. And he and I, we took to each other right off, and I had a really good acting rapport with Jay. We really fed off each other, and it was a really cool production because the first half was in the conference room with one of the tables set up, and we had the audience around us. And then during intermission, they closed the stage doors. Jay and I acted against that. Chuck came in from the kitchen, and they moved all the chairs, so it was like proscenium setup. So that was kind of an interesting layout for a Dreamwell show like that, to actually move the seating around in that space. So things like that, the fact that you're doing, I don't want to say it's controversial, but it was a new show by an unpublished playwright. You're changing the seating arrangement around to fit the scene in both acts 1 and 2, and just the caliber of the talent that you got to work with. I mean, I was meeting new, really talented people on every single show. But there was always, it's funny because in a way, it really did start as kind of a quasi mom and pop kind of scenario, and it was Matt and Sharon and Paul and Allie's baby. But they always kind of they were really good at kind of driving things on the back end, but they really let the create, like the people who were involved in the front end, if they weren't involved in a show, because obviously Matt did a fair bit of the shows down the line. They let them, they shepherded it, but they let them go. They let them do their thing. If they wanted to really push things and go for broke, I don't, I can't ever remember a single time where there was, we probably can't do that. I don't know about that. It was always very, give it a try, see how it goes. So that for somebody who was coming out of college where you had a real rigorous academic approach to your acting and your production, it was a real liberating experience. We had a couple. We were at a cast party. We were at the Mill. I can't remember which show it was for. I think it might have been Death. It was either Death and the Maiden or it was Liz Estrada because Josh was there. But two of these theater students, they were I think they had just gone to school for their freshman year, and we were talking about theater, and I can't remember how it came up, but they asked me if I like doing musical theater. And I was in my cups at the time, I'd had a couple drinks. I'm like, oh no, musical theater, shit, I hate it. I hate the fakeness of it. I hate the way people just breaking a song or whatever, And I mean, it didn't happen exactly like this, but the gist of it was, I get done with my rant, I stop, I take a drink, I'm like, so what did you study? They're like, musical theater. Well, it's interesting because every show, I mean, and this is the same wherever you go with the best theater experiences. When you do a show, you spend so much time with that cast, with that crew. You do sort of you form these little families for a period of time, and there's always that, and there's you go through kind of the cycle of families and good times and bad times, and there's times where there's always that one person that you're like, I'm getting along with this person for the betterment of the show, but I would never do anything with them out of here. But you kind of rally around that one common thing. And then there's the other people that are, they feel like siblings to you, and or parental figures when you go through that experience together. And there's always that period where you get done with the last show and you strike it and everything, and it's everything sort of that group in that milieu together sort of dissolves after that. And you lots of people you end up working with again in other shows in different roles, different contexts. But it's all there's always sort of that bittersweet moment where it's like, oh man, I'm never going to play this again. I'm never going to play your brother again. I'm never going to, you're never going to be my dad again. That kind of thing. But it was all, that's one thing that I've always really appreciated about my Dreamwell experience is that I still know all these fantastic people. I come up to see the last Dreamwell show I saw after I left was the Pillow Man, and so I saw Josh then. I think I saw that show with Dan Fairchild too. Yeah, he he was. I met him on Corpus Christi, but then he was very instrumental to Liz Estrada because the whole thing with Liz Estrada is you need to have phalluses, right? And that was one of the perplexing things. It's like, okay, how are we gonna do this? You know, you can't really get away with, you know, just walking around with, you know, dildos hanging out of trousers and stuff like that. So I don't, and you'd have, if you talk to him, it'd be good to get his take on this, put down for for posterity and prosperity. But he developed, he got like these, like the mini plungers, like the really small plungers that you like a hand, like you can use the one hand to clear out sinks with. He wrapped like some kind of like, I think it was cloth or foam around it, and then he took duct tape and wrapped it around so it had like a quasi phallic shape. And we would just, you know, we would wear stage pants that were big enough that we could just kind of put it down there. So there, you know, there are all these guys walking around with faux stiffies, and we I can't remember if he coined it or I coined it, but we began referring to them as dandos. When you have that family driven aspect of it, you know, it started off as a brainchild of, you know, two people who literally were family and a small group of people, and I think that that resonates with the community. Dreamwell over the years has gotten, as far as I know, has gotten more involved in how it interacts with the community. And I think that's endemic to Iowa City, though. Iowa City is very communal. There's just a vibe in Iowa City that you don't have in too many places, wherever you go. And you can have people from all walks of life, but there's more of a broad open mindedness. And sort of, you know, in Iowa terms, it's kind of like you can see just about anything there, and anything under the sun is okay, but for the vast majority of Iowa Cityans. And I think that Dreamwell kind of taps into that spirit. There's something. I mean, I know there's other theater groups in Iowa City, but there's something about the work that Dreamwell has chosen to do primarily over the years, because there was some stuff early on that I would say, and even Greater Tuna technically is, you know, maybe a bit more vanilla or more community theater type stuff, but they, you know, there's always been a willingness to push. You know, there's never been a shying away from doing grittier stuff, from doing darker stuff, but but doing that stuff with that communal spirit, I think kind of it's I think it's very unique to the spirit of Iowa City. Um, and you know, obviously, I lived it, so it's that colors how I look at things when I reflect back on my time in Iowa City. But for me, you know, Dreamwell is synonymous with Iowa City. I think it embodies the best parts of Iowa City. Well, I mean, yeah, it just seems like all, you know, that spirit of openness and that spirit of searching and exploration, and that kind of goes back to, you know, when we had the retreat in, I think it was 2001, pre 2001 season, where we kind of decided that the sextant was going to be the symbol for Dreamwell, because that was kind of what you know, what was used in ancient times to kind of guide yourself by the stars to sail your ship to wherever. Yeah, we went to I think it was up by Ledges in Boone. There was a cabin, and we went up there dead of winter. It was freezing. It was absolutely freezing, and there was, I can't even remember who went. Matt and Sharon, me, Brubaker, Christy Hartsgrove was there. I can't even remember who else was there. But yeah, we just froze our asses off in this cabin for the weekend. Talked about Dreamwell, and then had to drag all the stuff out through 3-foot snow drifts. Dreamwell, happy birthday. Thank you for all the years of companionship and the opportunities that I had to participate. It was a short period chronologically in my life, but it has carried meaning throughout the last 15 or so years. You gave me opportunities I treasure, friendships that have lasted all that time. That I've relocated years ago, and keep on doing what you do.